Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habibullah, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habibullah, Ya Mustafa, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habibullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program Enjoy Your Life, titled after the book Enjoy Your Life by Dr. Abdurrahman Al Arifi. A lovely book, and we are continuing with our series. Today we look at another chapter. The idea behind this is to improve on our interpersonal skills because, after all, we are always interacting with people, whether it's on a personal level, or whether it's on a public or professional level. We are continuously interacting and engaging with people. The idea behind the discussion is how can we make this a meaningful engagement, how we can utilize our interpersonal skills to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just as we would use the tilawah of the noble Quran or the recitation of adhkar and dua and so other ibadah that we talk about. How we utilize that for the sake of gaining closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can use our interpersonal skills also to gain proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember, our objective is to improve on all fronts of life, not just spirituality, but also in terms of our akhlaq. So today we're looking at chapter number 6 from the book Enjoy Your Life, and I hope you are also following. I've got the Arabic copy in front of me, which I am following. Kun mutamayyizan. So today's chapter speaks about how a person needs to be careful when he's engaging with people. And the author, Dr. Abdurrahman Al Arifi, gives many scenarios, and he draws our attention to a particular matter that every time, if you reflect on how you deal with people, you will realize the kind of results you will draw. So with that preamble in mind, let's look at some of the examples that he has listed here in the chapter. لماذا يتحاور اثنان في مجلس فينتهي حوارهما بخصومة? Why is it that when certain people talk, they always end up arguing and they always end up fighting with one another? بينما يتحاور آخران وينتهي الحوار بأنس ورضا. And why is it when other people talk and when they engage with one another, the same topic they can discuss, they don't end up hostile. They are able to discuss things amicably. Their conversation don't end up in arguments and in fighting. They can talk and debate and vociferously argue matters, but it doesn't end up as a hostile situation when compared to the other people when they are talking. So here is two examples that the author is drawing for us. The one side, you have people that when the minute you speak to them, you know with certainty that this discussion is going to end up in a fight. There's no other way. And why is it that when certain other people are talking and engaging with one another, they can hold discussions, they can hold intellectual debates and so forth, and yet their discussion does not descend to chaos, and it does not descend to disrespect, and they are still loving one another and they still care for one another at the end of the discussion? Why? He starts off the discussion with this question. لأن إنها مهارات الحوار. He says at the end of the day, it all boils down to the art of holding a conversation. The art of holding a conversation. So basically, he's drawing our attention to this, that which category do you fit into? And you and I need to do soul searching. Where do I fit in? Where do I fall under? When somebody is engaging me, when somebody is talking to me, do I end up arguing and fighting with them? Or am I from that category that when somebody engages me, I try to seek clarity and I try to understand where the person is coming from, and maybe I create some context for the situation which makes me help understand what is happening. So it's a question, where do you fit in? So these are soft skills that the author is talking about, things that people don't talk about. And it's so important to have these discussions And therefore, I felt that we need to talk about this more openly and more broadly and more vociferously to highlight the importance of how people are categorized and how people are shaped at the end of the day. So that's the first example. Can you hold a discussion with somebody without it getting hostile? Can you engage with somebody without being personal? Can you talk to your wife, or can your wife engage you without it getting personal? A lot of people push away a lot of discussions, especially the uncomfortable ones, because they know with certainty that if they have to bring up this topic, it's going to ruffle a few feathers. We will not be able to talk to each other after it for a couple of days. As a result, a lot of things are pushed under the rug, and a lot of things are sidelined or ignored because we know too well that if we open this discussion with this person, it's not going to hold any value, it's not going to bear any fruits, and therefore it's better to just stay away or ignore it totally. He then talks about another phenomenon. He says, لماذا يخطب اثنان الخطبة نفسها بألفاظها نفسها فترى الحاضرين عند الأول ما بين متثئب ونائم أو عابث بسجاد المسجد أو مغير لجلسته مرارا. He said, isn't it interesting that two people deliver the same talk? Same talk, same content, same words, same place, same audience. Yet, he says, why is it that when one talks and delivers his lecture, people are not attentive, people are playing around with the musalla in the masjid, or drawing circles on the floor, or you can see them totally distracted? Why is that the case? بينما الحاضرون عند الثاني منشدون متفاعلون لا تكاد ترمش لهم عين أو يغفر لهم قلب. Whereas when another person speaks who delivers the same message as the first person, yet when he speaks, everybody is listening. There's pin drop silence. Everybody becomes all ears. And everybody is listening, attentive to what the person is saying and the message that he's delivering. Why? Why? The question is why? Why there's such a big difference between the two speakers, whereas they're delivering the same message, same content? Why is there such a big difference? And he answers us by saying, إِنَّهَا مَهَارَاتُ الْإِلْقَاءِ. Essentially, it boils down to this, that how you deliver your message has a profound impact on your audience. If it is cut dry, if it is without any spice added to your delivery, without any nuances, without any dynamic approach, then naturally people are going to get bored and they're going to play around with the phone or do something that's going to distract them. So what the author is saying, that look, in every aspect of life, when you're engaging with people, either you're going to draw positive results, or either you're going to see that people are switching off, and even though they're there, but they're not there. You know what they say? They are there physically, but they are not there mentally. They are thinking of other things, but out of respect for you, they are just sitting there. So at the end of the day, the author says it's the class in delivery and the way you put the message across for people. So what he's doing here is drawing a pattern for us, that look, in everything, you're either going to influence people through your style, or either you're going to draw people, or either you're going to push people further away from you. He gives a third example, subhanallah, and I love this chapter. It's so enriching, and so many examples are quoted here, and the message is so profound that the way we carry ourselves has an impression on the people around us, and also it has an influence on the people that we are talking to. The third example, he says, لماذا إذا تحدث فلان في المجلس أنصت له السامعون ورموا إليه أبصارهم بينما إذا تحدث آخر انشغل الجالسون بالأحاديث الجانبية أو قراءة الرسائل من هواتفهم المحمولة. He says, why is it that when you enter a gathering, and you start a conversation and nobody's listening to you? Nobody is listening to you. Nobody's interested in what you have to say. Why is it that nobody is interested in your conversation, that when you start speaking, people automatically switch off, or people engage in other activities, or even to the point that they have their own conversation on the side whilst you are trying to engage them in a conversation in a gathering? Why is that the case? And on the other hand, the author says, there is another person who comes through, and when he starts a conversation, everybody drops whatever they are doing, and suddenly they are sitting and gathering around him. And they are sitting and they are willing to engage with him, and they are willing to talk to him, and they are willing to leave whatever they are doing for your sake. Why? Why? So he answers this question by saying, إنها مهارات الكلام. It is all about holding a conversation. How you are able to hold a conversation at the end of the day. So here are 3 examples the author has given. And he is drawing parallels between 2 people. A person who is able to hold a conversation, and a person who is unable to hold a conversation. A person whom you can talk and you know with certainty it's not going to get personal, they're not going to take offense, and you are able to still hold that same level of respect for one another as you had before the conversation. And why is it that when one person delivers a talk, people are listening and others are not attentive? So these are 3 examples that the author has given. Stay tuned, don't go away. When we return, we'll unpack these examples further.
Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habibullah, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habibullah, Ya Mustafa, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habibullah, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Habibullah.
Welcome back to our program, Enjoy Your Life, the program that is titled after the book Enjoy Your Life by Dr. Abdurrahman Al-Arifi. And we're continuing with our discussion on being unique. That is the chapter today. And there are certain examples that the author has given in this particular chapter, whether you are delivering a talk, whether you are talking to somebody, or whether you are in an informal gathering. There are people who are able to yield positive results, and then there are others who are unable to yield positive results. It's all about personality and the way you carry yourselves. So the author goes on to illustrate and further emphasize this point that, look, at the end of the day, it's all about how you carry yourself and how you come across with people. And here's another example. He says, لماذا إذا مشى مدرس في ممرات مدرسته رأيت الطلاب حوله? Why is it that when a particular teacher walks through the corridors of the university or the madrasa or the college or the school, why is it that you see students flocking to that particular teacher? Why is it that everybody is running towards the teacher? هذا يصافحه وذاك يستشيره وذلك يعرض عليه مشكلته. One person is running to greet him, one person is running to talk to him, and one person is running to seek counsel, and one person is presenting their problems to this teacher. You know, he's got a buzz around him basically. People, he is attracting people to him. Why is it that when he's walking in the pathways of the school or the corridors of the school, everybody is just flocking to him? And ولو جلس في مكتبته وسمع للطلاب الدخول لامتلأت غرفته في اللحظات. And why is it that when this person enters a particular classroom or a particular venue in the school, everybody just wants to be around him. There's a buzz around him. And within moments, his classroom is full. Why? بينما مدرس آخر, whereas you have another ustad, another teacher, another educator, another tutor, يمشي أحدهم في مدرسته وحده ويخرج من مسجد المدرسة وحده فلا طالب يقترب أو شاكيا مستشيرا ولو فتح مكتبه من طلوع الشمس إلى غروبها وآناء الليل وأطراف النهار لما اقترب منه أحد أو رغب في مجلسته. لماذا? He says, on the contrast, you have another teacher, you have another educator that is walking through the same corridors, that is frequenting the same masjid, that is in the same school, and nobody is bothered by that teacher. Nobody wants to talk to that teacher. And if this, the author says, if this teacher has to leave his doors open for the people from sunrise to sunset, and then too, not a single person would go and sit with them. Why? Why is it? So he's highlighting the fact it's all about the personality. It's all about interpersonal relationships. It's all about the soft skills that we are talking about. That there are others that they have a buzz around them, and then there are others where people are not so interested. They're not so keen in talking to you or sitting with you or engaging with you. Why? Subhanallah. So he says, إنها مهارات التعامل مع الناس. At the end of the day, it all boils down to this, as to how you carry yourself amongst people, number one, and number two, how you make the opposite person feel. If you make the opposite person feel comfortable, less judged, or you feel that you give validation to the person, then people will obviously yearn to be with you. But if you are sharp with your tongue, if you are very condescending in your approach, there isn't that aura of confidence around you, then people don't want to be close to you. People don't want to be with you, and people would prefer to be alone than to be with you. And subhanallah, baynama, he gives more and more examples. Listen to this. لماذا إذا دخل شخص إلى مجلس عام هش الناس في وجهه وبشوا وفرحوا بلقائه وود كل واحد لو يجلس بجانبه. Why is it that when certain people come and you are having an informal gathering, suddenly when they see you, they get so happy. Their faces are beaming with light, to the point that everybody is like, move, make some space for Sheikh, make some space for him, make some space for her. Why? بينما يدخل آخر whereas when another person enters, then suddenly people are looking down, or people are making themselves occupied, or suddenly they're making like they don't notice you so that you don't come sit by them. Why? Isn't it a point to reflect on? So he says, إنها مهارات جذب القلوب والتأثير في الناس. It's all about influencing people and making an impression in their life. And he draws the example and brings it more closer to home. And this is what I want us to focus on. He says, why is it لماذا يدخل أب إلى بيته فيهش أولاده له ويقبلون إليه فرحين بينما يدخل الثاني على أولاده فلا يلتفتون إليه. Why is it that some of us as fathers, when we enter the house, then there are those where our children are so happy to see us that they run and they cling on to us and they hug us and they take time to be with us, and they're so happy just by our mere presence. Why is that the case? Whereas you have another father, another father that comes into the house, and that father does not get a warm reception from his children. In fact, the children are not even bothered by the presence of the father. Why is it that the children are not excited to have their father around? And this can be for the father or the mother, depending on the situation. He says, why? Why? Have we ever thought about it? So the point that the author is making, that look, at the end of the day, in all these cases that we spoke about, whether it's a personal dialogue that you're having with somebody, whether it's a talk that you're delivering, whether it's a lesson that you're giving in the classroom, whether you as a father or a mother entering a particular space in the house, why is it that some people are able to hold conversations and draw positive results, and why is it that on the other hand others are unable to do so? He says at the end of the day, it all boils down to one thing and one thing alone, and that is your personality, your interpersonal skills, and the way you carry yourself. So that means that we all need to reflect on how we are interacting with people around us. Do we give positive vibes to the people around us? Or do we give negative vibes to the people around us? Are we able to bring people closer to us? Or are we chasing people further away from us? There are certain people that have very few friends in their life simply because of their personality. Maybe apart from 3 or 4 people, maybe it's their parents, and maybe it's their siblings, and maybe it's their partner. But apart from these people, they don't really get along with many people in life. Have you ever noticed such people? And they're very to themselves, and they are unable to make meaningful relationships. Why? Because it takes effort, and it's all about understanding people and understanding where they are and where they're coming from. And this takes a lot of effort on their part, isn't it? So the author, in the end of the day, says that it's all about personality, and he gives a personal example of himself. And I want us to just reflect on this. He says, أتولى منذ 13 سنة الإمامة والخطاب في جامعة الكلية الأمنية. He says, for 13 years I was the imam in a particular masjid. How many? 13 years. And he says, كان طريقي إلى المسجد يمر ببوابة يقف عندها حارس. Every day I used to come to the masjid, and on my way to the masjid there used to be a big entrance, and at this big entrance there used to be a security guard that used to stand there every day. So he says, كنت أحرص إذا مررت به أن أمارس معه مهارات الابتسامة. It was my practice and it was my habit that whenever I would pass the security, I would make it a point to greet him and to smile and to give him a pleasant experience with me. And I made it a point, I made it a point. It wasn't that, this is just a security guard. What do I have to worry about him? Do I need to even greet him? He said, no. I actually made it a point to greet him every time I walked past. He says, what used to happen is that I used to enter and I used to do that. But when I used to return back from the masjid, when I used to come out of the masjid, I used to get occupied with my phone. And as a result, I would not end up greeting the security guard on the way out. And the security guard noticed this once, twice, thrice, 4, 5 times. And then one day he approached me and he asked me, Sheikh, are you upset with me? So the Sheikh said, why? He said, I see when you coming time, you always greet me. But for some reason, when you leave, you're always busy with your phone or you are distracted, but you don't give me that same courtesy when you are returning. So the author said, wow, I did not take note of that. He says, how people observe you and every action of yours, that they become accustomed to a certain treatment from you, that when they don't see it from you, they actually point it out and they say, listen, we're not accustomed to this practice with you. Maybe you want to, speak about what happened or what is changed on your side. So the author ends off this chapter by saying, look, at the end of the day, it's all about your personality and how you carry yourselves with people. If you carry yourself with positivity, you have a good aura to you, you have got a good buzz to you, and you've got positive vibes that you give off, then people would love to be with you, man. They would love to be with you. They would love to have you in their company, at their homes, and wherever it is. But if you don't work on yourself, then you're only alienating more and more people out of your life. Simple as that. May Allah bless us all. Ameen.
Ya Rasulullah, Ya